Thursday Roundtable. Very excited about today's session. We are talking about all things talent acquisition, and I have a great set of folks with me today. So, again, if you're here to talk about talent acquisition, recruitment, whether you're in the spot of recruitment, if you're a recruitment leader, if you're in HR, perhaps you're a hiring manager, or perhaps you're a candidate that's looking for your next position, we want to interact with all of you in the comments. I'm going to be looking here at the comments mainly on LinkedIn. You may be seeing us on YouTube as well as Facebook, but we're going to be mainly focusing on the comments on LinkedIn. So if you want to interact with us live during the discussion, we do suggest that you watch us on LinkedIn. But of course, if you're just kind of listening in, we want to make sure you guys also have access to it on Facebook and YouTube. So glad all of you could join us today. If you're just now signing in, let us know where you're signing in from, what city, what state, what country. We want to know also perhaps what part of the continuum you're on. Are you looking for your next opportunity? Are you perhaps a recruitment professional? Are you a recruitment leader? Are you a hiring manager? Are you a leader in HR? We'd love to know and love to interact with you. So we appreciate all of you being here. And I want to just welcome my guests that I have. I have two great guests to talk about this very important subject today. I have the Director of Talent Acquisition at Legacy Community Health, located right here in good old Houston, Texas, where I am. It's one of the largest federally qualified health organizations in the U.S., one of, and then probably one of the largest, if not the largest in Texas. So welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Rollins. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you. And then we also have Miss Lorraine Bamford. And welcome. You're actually a returning guest. So welcome back to the show, Lorraine. She is a senior talent acquisition consultant with Kaiser Permanente. Many of us are very familiar with Kaiser Permanente, especially if you live on the West Coast. Very large organization, and she was a recruiter for them. So welcome to the show, Lorraine.
Thank you very much, Rollis.
Awesome. Well, this is a very important subject we want to talk about, and a few things we want to know is basically kind of what's kind of happening now, what changes are we seeing now, and then what should companies or organizations start to do to kind of adapt to some of those changes, and then perhaps we could talk about some of the things we see in the upcoming future, and we'd love to celebrate any successes that we have between you as well as those who are watching. And I'm just going to refresh my screen here and make sure that I can see us. Oh, good. I can see us live here. This is great. Is basically kind of you guys are looking fantastic on the screen here. Awesome. And I'm going to check my comments here. I want to make sure. So those of you who are watching, let us know where you're signing in from, what city, what state, what country, and where you are in the continuum. Are you a recruiter? Are you a hiring manager? Got lots of folks already coming in. So welcome, Barry. Barry says, I look forward to it. We're glad you're here. Kunli Adesida, very important at this time. Yes, it is. Gwen Bernal, awesome. Well, let us know where you guys are from. Okay, Manny's coming in from Minneapolis, Minnesota. But he said he was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Well, good for you. We'll welcome you back if you want to come back. Okay, so what's top of mind for you as a recruitment leader, Mike? What's top of mind for you and your organization? Some of the things that you guys are working on at this time? Because again, these are changing times. Things are changing rapidly at this time.
And you're absolutely right, Rollins. There's a ton of stuff going on right now. We are seeing an explosion in the healthcare industry as far as hiring goes. And it's really, how do we keep up with that? How do we think of unique ways to source candidates that we necessarily haven't used in the past? And more importantly, are we making offers that really attract the individuals? Do we have a total rewards package that individuals say, hey, look, I could go to a large hospital system, but I want to come to a clinic environment instead. And so really being able to espouse that employee value proposition is so important for us right now. And, we all struggle with technology challenges as far as a good ATS system and getting good metrics and reporting out there. But we've had a lot of challenges. We've seen a lot of large projects come our way. As you're familiar with, we're seeing not just one hire, but we're hiring 20 at a time of such things as therapists and behavioral health folks. And so all of those have really come to feed our desire to look beyond the post and pray that we thought we could sustain us, to really looking at, we need to get serious about sourcing candidates out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, those are great points. And glad you guys are forward thinking enough to make those changes that you need to make in order to adjust to the environment. And how about you, Lorraine? What's top of mind for you and your organization and what you're doing?
Yeah, so my service line, very similar to what Mike had mentioned, is the behavioral health and mental health and wellness. So psychologists and therapists, we're already 2 years ago really seeing a lot of candidate sort of requests coming through from our managers. But in the last couple of years, that's really increased a lot. So yeah, exactly right. Some of the challenges are how can we outreach to some of these passive candidates? What are the candidates looking for? We know that they're looking for 100% remote options. We can't offer that in the different regions that we have in Kaiser Permanente. So we're really going back to the manager to saying, hey, we need to get your buy-in. We need to like reinvent, recreate, go back to old school, go back to passive candidate cold calling. Who do you know? Where can we go? What network? What secret clubs are you in? Tell us everything we need to know about that. One of the successes I've recently had was one of my regions in California decided to do a recruitment video to showcase their actual facility and showcase the employees that are actually working there, which was really good because you heard firsthand about the stories, about the history, about the tenure, what's keeping them there, and different things like that, the rewards, the benefits, and everything else. So we've been successful in some of those things, but really, looking under every single stone to really find the candidates that we're looking for and then being really creative on our job postings as well, taking down the postings, sort of reinventing them, adding a sign-on bonus in the job title, making something part-time with, if it's been full-time before, making something hybrid, maybe offering a flexible schedule and or 1 day a week sort of remote option. It's interesting. I recruit for Colorado, California, and Hawaii, so all those different regions, all different things happening in all those different regions. But the same goal is to get those candidates to outreach to them and get them to apply to our positions. We can't just sit around now waiting for them to apply online. We've got to ensure that we are getting out there and really sort of marketing our business and marketing ourselves and really selling everything we got.
Oh, I love that. That's great. I just want to see what the audience thinks about what you mentioned about those videos. Yeah, yeah, I think they're pretty excited about that. And I mean, videos are my jam. I mean, that's what we do as a company. We make about we create about 70 to 100 videos right now a month. I think we'll probably do about 100 videos in March that we
Wow.
create.
Yeah.
Um, and so when you're just like, when you just say this, like you just, it's all stuff. Mike knows.
Oh yeah, we have been. I think can't count the number of videos that we've made, and to your point, Lorraine and Rollis, you're absolutely right. I think that is a direct credit to the sourcing that we've been able to do around behavioral therapists at this point in time. We're getting outreach to folks that we typically just wouldn't have gotten out to.
Absolutely. And so, in fact, if you're a therapist, you may have actually seen some of Legacy's videos because we've been partnering with Legacy and helping to get the word out. And we've created, I think, somewhere last time I checked, we made over 60 videos
Yeah.
with Legacy so far. So, definitely it has helped. And let me ask you this, Mike. So, what's the feedback you've gotten from your organization in terms of how recruitment videos, just to kind of help Lorraine and some of the folks who are watching?
It's been really positive. I think people like to tell the story of why they came to the organization. It gives them an opportunity to give a really realistic view of what that position is going to be like for them out there. It's an opportunity for us to talk about our mission, vision, and values. Things that you just don't get to do in terms of written communication or a job posting out there. You really can't get that message to them in a really realistic way unless you're talking to them or they're seeing you and they understand where you're coming from. So for us, that has been a huge boon for us. Our employees are enjoying that. I think that it's something that right now we're trying to go viral within the organization, trying to get our managers to share these videos through different social media platforms. I know that it's made a huge impact on our recruiting at this point.
Love that. Love that. That's great to hear. And it's changing. The way that people interact with videos is changing. And so, by the way, guys, we're talking about videos right now. But if you've got any other ideas, any other questions, feel free and jump in with a comment because I'm reading all the comments and I'm not going to ignore this. So we're gonna change the trajectory of the show depending on the comments that we have coming in. And Lorraine started us off with a great idea. She talked about doing videos, which resonates with myself and Mike because that's what we're actively involved in. And there's three things that we've gotten back from providers whenever we ask them about the videos, and this kind of resonates with what you're talking about, Lorraine. They want to know possibly what the team is like, so they want to perhaps see what would their other workmates be like. So they don't want to see a bunch of royalty stock free videos that you pull off of some royalty free site. They want to see actual employees that work there. Perhaps their manager, their hiring manager is going to be working. They're going to be working for potentially, and then also the work environment. So again, no stock videos. We want to have actual pictures of the place where they will be working and what the environment's like. So that's the feedback we've gotten, and we've gotten a lot of success with that. So hopefully that resonates with you, Lorraine, and those who are watching. Another thing too, we found out. This is kind of interesting. This is hot off the press, guys. This is hot off the press. I want to see what you guys think. All right, so we analyzed about 4,000 YouTube channels for healthcare organizations, and roughly about 3,800 of them, 3,800 had a video, but only about 42% had a career-related video. 1,860 of them had career-related videos. Now, if you were to guess, how many of them do you think had had more than one video?
I've got to say half.
Yeah, it's going to depend upon how sophisticated those organizations are, but I would probably agree with Lauren on that one. About
Yeah.
probably about 50%.
Man, you guys are spot on. See, I got two great guests on, guys. See, these guys are
I
knowledgeable.
was cheating off of Lauren.
What's that?
I was cheating from Lauren. Sounded like a good answer.
I, I think what's interesting for us with the video was we already have like a mental health and wellness career landing page on our KP career site. And there's already videos on there, and there's already testimonials and great information on there. But we wanted to take it further, sort of drill down to the facilities and the people
Yes.
working in the facility. So we were really going for that human side, the human sort of touch, the human nature. Yeah, you're absolutely right about the culture, the team, just showcasing these beautiful facilities, with lots of windows and places that they could go and, go and have a lunch, really close by, or walk through the park, if they needed like a half an hour break or something like that. So it was really really nice and personal. And I only put it on my LinkedIn. I was just trying to get it out there on LinkedIn. And it was interesting, usually some of my LinkedIn posts, probably not as popular as yours, Rollis. I probably get about 45 or between 45 and 60 people if I say, hey, guess what? We're hiring, come reach out to me, whatever. Here are all our positions. And I put the link there. But when I put the video out, I think on the first day I got 675 views. And I was just, whoa, this is really great. I was really blown away. So I was able to share that with the leaders. And, they were sharing it and liking it. And we were like, comment, share, And then a couple of the facilities had a little bit of a competition on with some of the employees to say, whoever gets the most likes and shares, there's going to be. So we were really trying to get everybody involved, excited. Again, really different spin on how recruiting can partner with our leaders, with our employees, etc.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Love that. That's very good. And I'll go a step further, Lorraine. Not only the facility, but what we've been doing is specific related departments. So, like, for instance, I don't know if you've got different types of therapists there, but for instance, when we're doing thing on nurses, we may have like the ER nurse department. We may focus on that, and maybe that day we'll also focus on another department. Maybe it's labor and delivery, or in the case of like with legacy, maybe it could be maybe it's a call center, or maybe it's the the therapist, In fact, Mike, you can kind of touch on that, how we kind of did different areas
Oh
with
yeah,
the videos.
absolutely. When we were going through this process, we were identifying where's our greatest needs at right now, and then what we found is, and I'm a kind of take a step back to what Lorraine was saying, because she mentioned, it was kind of old school, and this is how we've always recruited out there. And we have a much more sophisticated candidate than we've ever really had. You've got candidates right now, they're going out to the Indeeds of the world and the Glassdoors of the world. You've got candidates that are really going to going to social media, and they're checking up on the organization before they apply, right? They want to know what they're getting into. And so, to the point of putting together those videos out there, once again, it demonstrates to them a couple different things. One, is the organization that I'm going to, are they technologically savvy, right? So that in and of itself is the perception of who you are as an organization. The second part of that is, where am I going to work at? What is quality of life going to be like once I get out there? And so they start to see a glimpse of that when we go into those individual departments. They see what a call center looks like. They see where the offices look like. They get to hear from the manager's mouth, this is what you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis. This is why I want to work here, or why I enjoy working over here. And those things resonate with individuals, right? So when we talk about trying to get to the candidates where they live, that's what we're trying to get to.
Love that.
And if you think about it real quick, just sort of piggybacking on that, Mike, 2 years ago, we were out in the community. We were at the job fairs. We were at the Chamber of
Yeah.
Commerce. You're at the luncheons. You're out there in the community, and you're talking to people. So we had that sort of, um, experiences with them. But then when everything went virtual, it's like they want that personal touch still. So the video, I think, was pretty smart and pretty fun, and fun for the folks that were involved in it as well. I gotta
Yeah.
say that they really got a kick out of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're so right. They do enjoy it. Several of them have given us that kind of feedback. So we got quite a few comments came in. We have Leon Fresh. Good to see you, Leon. Leon's a great watcher of the show. He's always with us. Appreciate you being here. He says everyone's recruiting for everything. The goal is to showcase what makes us the employer of choice. Love that. And we have Jenkins everywhere. He says, he says he's with the ed tech company. Okay, thanks for hosting. Well, I appreciate the privilege. Aaron Gupta, he's got something out. He's got something he wants to share. We look at the comments on that later. Okay, well, very good. I've kind of caught up on some of the comments here. Okay, going back to Leon's comment about employer of choice, what are some things that you like to communicate, either through your teams, Mike, in your case, or Lorraine, you personally? What do you like to communicate that really shows that you're an employer of choice? What are some things you use as differentiators? Is that important today?
Oh, absolutely. There's options. Everybody has options. We're at the lowest unemployment rate out there, and we're actually the highest unemployment rates. We don't have any candidates to fill these jobs, right? And so you have to differentiate yourself from somebody else. And so for us, it being a clinic environment, we try to pull the same folks that the major hospital systems or medical systems are trying to pull to. So it's quality of life issues. You don't want to work every weekend? Come talk to us. Don't want to work a 12-hour shift at night? Come talk to us. You want to be off on holidays? Come talk to us. Those are the quality of life issues that we know our competition can't necessarily give to them. And then we have gone through an entire push in the last, oh goodness gracious, 60 days of how do we make our total rewards that much more enticing to individuals, and what can we offer that is as a no cost to the employee that brings them to us. So all of those things, we're rethinking PTO, we're rethinking compensation, we're rethinking whether or not it's going to be a remote, a hybrid job, like Lorraine had mentioned a little bit earlier. All of those things play into helping differentiate us from the options that they have out there.
That's great. And by the way, Lorraine, before you answer, if you could bring that little mic just a little bit closer to your mouth, it was a little bit harder to hear you last time.
Okay, so how's that? Is that better?
That is a little bit better. Yeah, yeah. The closer,
Yeah.
the better.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot of what Mike said as well, exactly the same, sort of showcasing some of the benefits and what we can do differently, and what they get when they come to Kaiser. Really showcasing our mission and our vision. But I think it all starts with the recruiter. I'm the first point of contact, so people often said to me, "What's your pitch?" What's my pitch? My pitch is my story, what keeps me at Kaiser. So I always have a real joke with any candidate I reach out to. I say, I've been at Kaiser for 14 and a half years, but I'm still a newbie. Most people have been here 15, 20, 25, 30 plus years. that really catches their attention. That's a real wow factor. What keeps people at Kaiser Permanente? Why are people retiring after 20 years and then coming back again 6 months later? So I really pitched the story. I pitched the tenure, I pitched the history, and I pitched my story as well. So I enjoyed that side of it as well, to sort of reel the candidate in right at the beginning before we even start talking about the jobs.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that says a lot. So, what I'm getting from both of you, it's important for us to know not only our story, but perhaps taken from what Mike just said, also what the competition is like, so that I can show some differentiators. And then I love the part, Lorraine, you mentioned about having your own story ready to talk about it, about why you chose to stay there at that organization, and how others have a long tenure. I love that. This is great feedback. That may help some folks who are watching. Okay, so if you were to give some suggestions to hiring managers, this is pretend that we got some hiring managers that are watching right now. What advice would you give those hiring? And we're not saying you're giving advice to your own hiring managers. Okay, we're freeing you of that. We're just talking about in general other hiring managers that don't work at your facility. Just give us some advice. What should hiring managers be thinking about? Because here you are on the recruiter side. The hiring manager has a little bit different perspective. What advice would you want to give to them?
You know, the perfect candidate doesn't exist. Let's be honest here. Uh, the days of us going in saying I want to interview 10 people and I want to find the absolute person that checks every single box. Um, you can wait that long to find them, but people are going on and off the market very quickly right now. And what you want to do is hire not just for the technical skills, but hire for aptitude and competencies. And if they've got the key competencies that we're looking for, we can teach the skills. We have to be nimble and move faster. If your objective is, well, I need to talk to at least four people before I make a decision. Well, you may only be stuck with one person or two people, depending on how fast you're interviewing out there, because people are going on and off the market very quickly.
Yeah, I would agree
Yeah.
with what you're saying, Mike, as well. I think if I get a candidate, my expectation is if I've sold the candidate on Kaiser and the actual position, and I'm moving them along to the manager review, my expectation is the manager is going to reach out to them within a day or two, 12 to 48 hours. It's like you need to reach out to them as soon as possible because they've got more than one option that they're looking at. It makes for a great candidate engagement to know that they've received the resume and you're actually, even if it was just a courtesy call to say, hey, I've got your resume, I'm very interested in it, I'm going to go ahead and get you set up on a panel interview, but I wanted to reach out to you in the meantime. It's the candidate engagement, keeping them engaged all the way along the process, and then moving very quickly on them as well. So I think that's really important. So that's something that I pitch to my managers. If I find you a candidate, you need to look at them. And regardless, they might not have everything that you're looking for, but can you use different areas for this particular candidate? Would they be able to sit somewhere else in your location? Or is there things that you can train them up to? So we really are taking a much deeper dive now into the candidate sort of experiences.
Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I want to just see what some of the candidates think about that. Given having that level of interaction so quickly. Yeah.
Of it.
Yeah. Well done. Well done. That's great. And give me that time frame. I love hearing what you just said, Lorraine. So, how much time do they have?
I think honestly, within 24 to 48 hours. But I've got managers in Hawaii that will pick up the phone within a couple of hours of receiving that resume, and I love that about them. They're like,
Oh
"I'm on it.
wow.
I'm on it." I'm like that.
Wow.
That's what I want to hear.
Oh
That's
yeah,
awesome. Okay,
yeah.
more comments came in. So Leon says, I love Lorraine's tactic. I use the fact that I'm a boomerang employee of St. Luke's and tell them my story of why I returned back. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's great.
And Jenkins says, what keeps you at Kaiser? That's great. How do you overcome the challenge of showcasing the company as employer of choice when the hiring managers you're working with don't or can't offer much flexibility? Ooh, okay. So how do you handle that? Lorraine, you want to tackle that first, and then Mike, you want to do it?
Yeah. So here's something that we did. We were finding that there were positions out there 40 hours a week, and we were just getting no candidate supply. So there's a huge approval process that the managers have to go through anyway to get the positions approved. I said, let's try working some evergreen recs. Okay, so let's look at a different candidate pipeline. Let's post this position out there to just attract the candidates. Let's post it with flexible hours, part-time hours, on-call hours, hybrid schedules. Let's see who applies, and then let's create, if we're really interested in that candidate, then let's create a position for them. So we were doing that, and that's been pretty successful this year as well. So it was looking at a very, very different candidate pipeline because we were just opening up the gates and saying, we'll take anybody, come and talk to us. And once we've talked to you, we're going to see if we can create that position for you.
Love that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That is a great idea, Lorraine. I wish we had that flexibility to get that creative for us over there.
I mean, it was a hard push to the managers, but it's like this position's been at 40 hours a week for 6 months. Nobody's applying. No permanent people are applying. So let's sort of break the chain and let's just go with it. See what else is out there.
Yeah, I love that. And so, any ideas come to mind for you, Mike? When you can't offer flexibility, what are some things that you guys have tried to do?
Yeah, it's schedules. We try to be as flexible as we can with schedules when possible out there. For us, sometimes the challenge we have isn't necessarily the technical skills, but those preferred skills. For us, being bilingual is a huge thing. And I've got folks that want very specific types of nurses, and they want bilingual, and they want them in a specific location. You can pick one or two, but you can't have all three. And so trying to get them to be flexible in terms of, look, if you've got a nurse, do they really need OB experience? Can you take somebody and train them on the OB side if I've got a bilingual person willing to come out there? It goes back to that original statement of being flexible means that you don't get everything you want, but we'll hire to the competencies that you need, and we'll train on what we don't have.
Like that. Okay, a lot more comments came in. We've got Ron Schumann. Welcome, Ron. He says, first time here. Glad to join today. He's from Portland, Oregon. Okay, Oregon's hot today. Okay, good. This is he's a healthcare executive business consultant at Talent Burst Staffing, Workforce Solutions. And I say Oregon's hot because the next comment is Joe Giblin. He says, love Oregon. Thank you for having this. Ron says, as a C-suite executive, a topic I'm interested in at some point is discussing the staffing workforce challenges of what has been termed the Great Resignation of 2021. So, because I have these shows every week and I've talked about it a lot, I still want to get y'all's take on it. So, what are your take on the Great Resignation? Do you still see effects of that, or is it kind of waning down? What would you say, Mike, and then maybe Lorraine? You can piggyback on it.
Yeah, I think we're still seeing it out there right now. As long as people have lots of options to choose from, we have to be creative in how we engage them within the organization. That's first and foremost. And so you're talking about, everything from 360s to employee engagement surveys to figure out how do we keep the individuals that we have currently. And have to get creative in terms of, like I said, those total rewards, and look at things that's meaningful to those individuals, because there's always somebody bigger than you are. There's always somebody with deeper pockets than you have to bring out or to take talent away. We have lots of our competitors that simply buy folks from us. We can never pay that same type of money. We're a nonprofit, right? So we have to look at it. Two things. It's going to be what's engaging these individuals, and more importantly, how are we meeting them where we all stand? It's around our mission, visions, and values, and that really needs to be driven home.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. And so what do you guys think in the comments? Are you still seeing the effects of it, either from the candidate side or from the hiring manager side? Or are you still feeling the effects of the Great Resignation? I agree with you. I do still think it's alive and well out there. Lorraine, what would you say to that?
I would say, initially, during and sort of after COVID wasn't so crazy, we were seeing a lot of internal movement with Kaiser. So it was folks who are transferring to other regions. So we were glad that we were able to keep them kind of under the Kaiser umbrella as they were transferring around to other regions. We did have some folks leave, of course. But something that was new to me was, we were coming up with all these different ideas and how can we sort of bring in these new candidates. We said sign on bonuses. Yes, sign on bonuses and retention bonuses. Let's do that. And then we did find a couple of candidates were leaving right after they received their sign on bonus, right within that 6 or 12 months, they were off again. And it's like, oh, here's another thing that we have to deal with, on the resignation. So how can we sort of alleviate that? What are we going to do? How can we keep them engaged? It's like one thing after another.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And Chimon, thanks for coming in today. Chimon Rafalia, he's saying hello and giving us the thumbs up and the good OK symbols. Okay, so another thing we're going to discuss is what do you think that? Oh, before I say this, Manuel says, as Lorraine said, we were experiencing the loss of lots of requests to transfer. Yeah, and I've actually heard that termed as the Great Reshuffling too. I think that's kind of where you're seeing a lot of that. Do you, first of all, let me ask you this, Lorraine. Do you still see that continuing to be a trend in the second half of 2022 based on what you're seeing?
Not as many people. We did see a huge sort of reshuffle because people wanted to be closer to their family, or they didn't want the commute because now they could work part remote, or they wanted to move from a really expensive region to somewhere sort of smaller, and move their family there and everything. So not as much now. It still happens, but not as much. Not that big reshuffle, that big internal sort of movement around. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how about from your perspective, Mike? Are you seeing that shuffling around slow down, or what do you see?
We see some of it, given the fact that we're centrally located in one area here within the Houston areas where our primary offices are. Grant, we've got literally 50 different places they could be working at, but commuting in Houston is kind of is what it is, and we don't see that as much as others probably do.
Okay. And then I noticed too that one of the things that you guys did recently is you created a bunch of 100% remote positions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, to meet that demand, when you're talking about tripling or quadrupling the size of your behavioral health staff out there, we have to be creative in the talent that we're bringing in. And so, yeah, we're now looking across the state to bring folks in because it's just not realistic to try and find behavioral health folks who are in such great demand. COVID has taken a toll mentally on a lot of people out there, and the demand for individuals with therapy backgrounds is significant. So we've had to really broaden our scope in terms of looking for individuals.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, we got a really good question here. I like Manuel. Manuel, I like this question he's got here. Okay, so he says, question for Mike. And then Lorraine, I want you to answer this too, because I think you'll have some good insight on this. How much does personality play with deciding on moving forward with a candidate? Like, how much of that is would you say if you had to put a percentage on it, or just is it a majority factor, is it a minority factor, Mike, when moving forward with candidates' personality? What's your
Well,
take on that?
it's all about culture fit within the organization, right? And so, are you going to be a client facing individual? Are you going to be in the back office working and not facing customers? Of course, it's always going to play higher if you're dealing directly with customers out there. But look, the reality is this: it's very simple. We spend more time working and seeing the individuals at work than we do with our mom, our dad, our kids, our spouse, our dog, right? We spend more time with those, and so we want to make sure that we like working with those individuals. And personality plays a big part of that. If I were to put a percentage on it, I'd probably put a 30% part of that. I mean, we also look for core competencies and we look for core skill sets, obviously. But would we select someone over someone else of all things being equal? Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
Mm. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, Lorraine, how about you? What have you seen in your practice?
I would probably agree with a lot of what Mike said, but another thing is again, I'm that first point of contact when I'm reaching out to those candidates. So I'm listening for that personality factor. I know the manager, I know the teams, and I'm thinking, will this person be a good fit in that particular area as well? I mean, it's the skill set as well, as Mike is saying, it's different competencies that they have, but will they fit in with that sort of team, with that culture? So I try to sort of promote that when I'm talking to them on the phone to say, hey, here's the team, here's who's on the team, who's this is how long they've been here. And when you get into the interview, ask them about their story so you can get more of a personal sort of idea about what keeps them at Kaiser. So again, I'll come back to that real sort of question, what makes a great team at Kaiser Permanente? It's the people in it. So ask them the questions. What keeps you here? Tell me about, your story. So I really think personality does fit into it now. And I think that's what folks are looking for. Gone are the days where you're on the phone, just reading off that sort of job description, or somebody's going onto your website and reading that two-page job description. They want all the bullets. They're saying, what's in it for me?
Hmm.
What are the team like? How much am I going to get paid? Is there flexibility? Is there work life balance? And is there career progression for me as well? Tell me about those things.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, here's something that's a challenge, though. I want to pose this because since you guys are both very smart individuals, I'm going to pose you with a very difficult question. So, what happens if you have a manager who tends to hire people who gel with their personality, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they hire diversely, right? So they may end up getting along with a certain type of individual that maybe has shares the same demographics as them. Um, how do you help those managers to see, okay, we got to go a little bit beyond personality here, and you may not gel with this person, but they can actually be a good asset to our company. So I would love to hear what are your takes on how do you handle that with hiring managers, because this is something that comes up a lot. I hear.
You know, uh,
Go for it, Mike.
oh, okay. Well,
Sorry.
no, 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 no. So, I'm fortunate in the sense that Legacy Community Health is a organization that started off years ago, supporting the LGBT community. One of the very first AIDS clinics in Houston. We have grown now to 1,500 individuals with 50 some odd locations out there. Diversity is something we celebrate at Legacy. And I would be and I'm very lucky to say that for us, part of the reason people come to Legacy is they buy into the culture of Legacy. They buy into the culture that healthcare is a human right, that everyone deserves healthcare. They buy into the concept that we truly celebrate the diversity of both our patients and our employees. And so, I would say that we're lucky. We're very lucky that I don't have those issues per se within our organization just because of who we are.
Okay, well, very good. How about you, Lorraine? Perhaps do you have those issues, or maybe you don't? Maybe you,
We don't. I mean, Kaiser Permanente is, it's been around for 85 plus years. It's a huge, diverse culture. It's absolutely amazing, coming into an organization like this. And, here I am. What resonated with me when I went through my new employee orientation 14 and a half years ago is, why do people stay at this company? People
right.
have been here 15, 20, 25, 30 plus years. Why are they staying here? I hadn't come across that in my tenure and experiences in other positions, um, here in the United States. So that was really something that was an eye opener for me. And just sharing those stories and seeing those people, it's amazing. It's a great company to work for, and we are looking at the entire culture, the entire diverse population that we have here at Kaiser. So we don't have those problems with managers just gelling with that one person. They're looking, they're taking their blinkers off and they're looking at the wider picture, and then what can bring to us and our patients as well.
I love that. I love hearing that. One of the things I've observed too at times is you may have a candidate who seems very reserved. They don't say much, very short with their answers, and that person may come off as being unfriendly. Maybe they don't smile as much, but there are certain cultures that's how they are. That's how they were raised. So maybe the hiring manager may think that person's unfriendly, but it's really just more of a cultural thing. So I don't know if y'all have seen anything like this. Sounds like you guys have all figured out, but at
Well, I
times
would,
that's been a little bit difficult.
yeah, I would say, Rollis, probably a little bit of a different scenario there was when we went into this virtual arena and the managers were interviewing their candidates on Zoom calls. Sometimes, we'd send over a great candidate to the manager and they'd say, didn't do so well on the call, didn't not much of a personality fit, you know, we're not really sure sort of thing. So I would say, hey, how about you bring them in for like a one-on-one? People are different when they're on video. They're a little bit nervous, it's not bringing out their actual personality. How about you bring them in for an interview as well and see what you think? And I would say 99.9% of the time they were like, you nailed it. They were absolutely great. We had the team there. It was great. They sat in front of us. It was almost like that they just let themselves down and said, hey, here I am, this is me, this is what I'm usually like. I was just a bit nervous on the actual video itself. So we've seen that from the interview process in the virtual arena.
I love that. Okay, there's two lessons from that I got. One lesson was you gave them another scenario in another circumstance that you knew that your candidate could probably thrive in. Number one, but number two, I also got another lesson from it that may not be as apparent is that you gave some pushback whenever they told you that they didn't think that candidate was the right fit, and you felt empowered enough to be able to come back and say, hey, look, let's take another look at this. And I think, and also Mike mentioned this earlier in his conversation. How important is that on the part of a recruiter or a recruitment leader to make sure their staff has the freedom and they feel empowered enough to be able to have those kind of tough conversations.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's very timely for us because we're having those exact conversations right now. Uh, I understand that we're all recruiters, right? But I tell to my team out there, we're talent acquisition specialists, and we're business partners to these managers as far as talent acquisition goes. I may not be a medical assistant. I may not know how to give an injection, but I sure know how to interview a candidate. I sure know how to go about sourcing, selling, and closing a candidate on an opportunity out there. More importantly, I think it's extremely important, and I empower my team to have those conversations. I'm not here to make the decision for them. The team is not here to make the decision for them. However, what we are here to do is to give them another point of view and to give them suggestions on is this really the right person or not the right person. And I'll take it from the different direction, Rollis, where it's important that a recruiter can talk to a hiring manager and say, look, I don't think you've made the right decision over here. Let me give you my perspective of what I've seen and what I think about this. And it's not so much that we want to rework this whole process over again, but for us, culture and fit within the organization is extremely important. And as we talk about the great resignation, it's more important now than ever to make sure that we're hiring individuals that we see as long term fits with the organization. So when we talk about can you have those conversations, that's exactly where we want to go. We want to tell them on why we think someone's a good fit. We want to tell them on do we think, this is what I've seen that I have concerns for at this point, and to truly be a partner to them. We're not order takers. We're not here to push paper to you. Recruiting teams are evolving now to being the true talent acquisition specialist and to help them as a partner.
Love that. That was
That's my
awesome.
soapbox. I'm sorry. That's
I love that. Anything you want to add to that, Lorraine, before we move
Yeah,
on?
I think, we've sort of, as talent acquisition consultant recruiters, we are the sales, the marketing, the magicians. So you've got to impose that sort of trust and relationship with your managers and that fear factor. Competition is fierce. We're having a crisis finding your candidates. So you can't just brush that person off right off the front. You got to give me a good reason as to why. So yeah, put the fear in them, and then just make sure you can go back to them if you feel confident enough. And I think most of us are. It's like, you must have another look at this candidate. Give me a good reason why we're not hiring this person. So yeah, I agree with what Mike's saying, but and it takes a minute or two depending on who you're working with. You might be working with 5 or 6 managers. You could be working with 60 managers. Um, I work across multiple regions, multiple time zones, multiple personalities, and you've got to adapt as a recruiter to that manager's style. And then you've got to consult with them. You've got to be their business partner. You've got to be, lend them an ear. Everything. They're looking for everything from you, and you've got to be that person.
Love that, and I just want to let you know that not only I'm enjoying being on the show, but it's like I feel like I'm a spectator. I'm watching at the same time. You guys are making such great insights and comments, and those are in the comment section. I really appreciate all the comments you're giving us right now. So let's see, we got another question here. Manny says, from what you see or from what you hear, does on-the-job training help with filling a role, or have companies moved away from saying that altogether? I find it not to be a point of interest for most candidates. I don't know. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I would say depends on the service area. With mental health and behavioral health, it's not really an on-job training. I think you'd probably agree with that, Mike.
Absolutely.
But there might be some other sort of service lines, whether it's nursing or professional businesses or clinical operations, where they might be able to give some of that on-the-job training, um, but certainly not in my particular service line.
Wait a second. Are you telling me that if I want to be an oral surgeon, or if I want to be a general surgeon, you saying I cannot learn on the job? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm speaking about my service line. I can't speak to the other ones.
The question is, do you want me performing oral surgery on you?
Yeah, yeah. That would be a big no.
but yeah, I do get it though. There's a lot of positions like some of the customer service positions, some of the navigator positions where you don't need to have a license. You can have folks from other industries. And I know, Mike, maybe you can speak to this. I know you guys recruit for some positions that you don't necessarily need to have a license for. You could probably learn a lot of it on the job.
Yeah, there are administrative roles and SG&A roles that we recruit for, and absolutely in those types of roles, yes. Patient-facing roles where we're talking about someone's health. No, that's unless we're talking about a unique skill that's because you already have licensure in that area and it's just an extension of what you're doing. I can see that going within one subspecialty to another. But there are some core competencies that are they're a no go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelly. She just commented. Kelly says, maybe you can, but should you? Talking to me. No, you're right. I shouldn't. I should not be a surgeon. Okay, that's not my thing. Okay, so Kunli Adesida, he says, in my organization, we've had managers hire on personality basis majorly, but it never worked for us. I would rather want to move forward with any individual who is result oriented majorly, because over time he or she could just go with the flow with us, is what he's trying to say. So any thoughts back on that comment? I want to give you guys an opportunity to respond to that. Mike, did you have anything you want to respond? And then Lorraine?
Well, I think it's something we already kind of talked about in the sense that we hire on competencies, we hire on skills. You have to be qualified for the job. You can have a great charisma and talk someone's shoes off, but at the end of the day, you have to know the job first and foremost.
Yeah.
To get yourself in the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Lorraine?
I would say there might be a different scenario. So if you've got a team of 4 people and someone leaves and you've just got those 3 people that have worked with each other for the last 15 years, then you've probably got to work it a little bit more on the personality fit as well as their experience as well, because that's going to be so important for that particular team.
Yeah, I agree to that for sure. There's certain departments too where, I mean, programmers, accountants, I mean, do they really need to have this super great glowing, effervescent personality, or do I just really want them to be able to crunch the numbers? I don't know.
And
I think
another
it
sort of
does.
spin on that, actually, Rollis, is if you think about it, you look at the remote workforce now. So I've been working remote for about 4 years. The majority of my team are in California. I'm here in Colorado. So I feel like I've got good personality fit with my team, but I've only
Mm-hmm.
known them virtually. I've never been in an office with them and sat down with them.
Mm.
So sometimes you've got to look for those traits as well because of this
Yeah.
sort of 100% remote.
That is great. That's a great point. And you said 4 years, not 2 years. So it wasn't just COVID. You were doing it before COVID.
Yeah, we were actually lucky enough to do it before COVID, so it wasn't a big shift for me. So,
Interesting. Okay, now Joe says, great point. Not everyone interviews. Great. And shadowing is a great way to see the individual in the environment that they'll work in. Additionally, it allows other staff to meet the candidate and give input. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so I cannot believe how fast this time has gone by, folks. We're almost at the tail end of this hour. What advice would you like to give others that are in your field? And if you want to give some advice to a candidate, like your top piece of advice for a candidate, either one of those or both.
I would say advice to any recruiter, talent acquisition, professional leader out there is continue to network. That's so important. If you can help and partner with your recruiter in all of the networking from wherever you're signed up to, if you're on a board, if you're in any special groups, any associations, tell us about them. That's what we want to hear. Just continue to keep networking.
Love that. Okay, and then how about you, Mike?
Advice to candidates is it's all about perception. You know, we don't always get to see individuals, but rather we see resumes, we see written communication. Uh, and so oftentimes I see poorly written resumes, misspellings, typos. I can look over some of that, but poor grammar. The perception is the perception is what it is, and so you want to make sure that you're taking this as seriously as you can. Uh, you know, it's a sell on both sides. We're selling you on the opportunity, and you have to be prepared to sell yourself for the opportunity. And as Lorraine said, it's all about making sure that you're presenting yourself and coming to the table with all everything.
Love that. Okay, I have a little fun question for you. You know, we just had the Olympics here recently, and so I want to ask you guys a question. If you could compete, it doesn't have to be with that particular event, but if you could compete in any sporting event and you knew you were going to be successful at it, which event would you want to compete in, or sport would you want to be involved in?
Well, I'll
Go
answer.
ahead, Lorraine.
I'm here from Colorado, so I'm probably the oldest snowboarder out there, but I would be in a snowboarding event where I can do the flips,
Ah,
the jumps, the turns. I would love to do that.
awesome. Snowboard. Do you have any pictures of you snowboarding?
I do. Yeah, I'll have to send you
Awesome.
some, Raleigh. Yeah.
Yeah, send me some of those. Some of
Yep.
those. Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Mike?
You know which one I really like is watching those guys that do cross country skiing and they stop and they shoot at the targets.
Oh, yeah.
If I only had the endurance, because I think once I stopped, I just bend over and try to breathe.
Guys in the comments, let me know what would be your favorite sport to compete in if you had the abilities in that particular sport. Who knows? Some of you probably already do have the abilities, but let's just say you didn't even have it. Which one would you choose? I think I'm going to go with one of my favorite sports. I think would be football. Second would be basketball
Is that
for
American
me.
football or English football?
Oh yes, thank you. I have to clarify American football, but I
Okay,
like English. I
thank
like
you.
English football too, though. I really do. I like English football.
Perfect.
Who's your favorite English football team?
Well, I'll have to go with my husband and son. They both like Man United, but for the most part, I'll only watch English football for the guys on the field. Say, oh, he's nice. Look at his hair. Oh, I like the way he runs. So I'm more about the appearance. Sorry.
Very good. Okay, Ron says I'm in for the WSOP. What is that? What's the? I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank there. What's the WSOP? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank
Not
here,
sure.
Ron. Sorry about that. Sorry. But anyway, thanks. This is a great session today. This is amazing, guys. I really appreciate you guys being on. You guys both work with great companies. And so I encourage those who are watching, if you are in the market and you're looking for the next opportunity, obviously these are two great people to follow their organizations. They do fantastic work in their respective areas. So definitely follow these guys. And then look out for some of these videos. I'll be looking out for some videos from you, Lorraine. And
Yeah.
and then you're gonna see. You're probably some of you guys will probably see Mike anyway, because I know we got some videos queued up of Mike coming up. So
Yeah.
I just saw him the other day from the team. So they look really good.
All
So
right.
looking forward to that. Kelly says World Series of Poker.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Thank you, Ron and Kelly. Okay. World Series of Poker. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. This is a great session today. It is 3 o'clock. Have a great rest of the day. Let's just say bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. And as we're checking out, here's the audience right there. They're so happy. You guys did such a great job. Thank you very much, guys. You're amazing. Awesome. Ron says great show. Okay, so Joanne, she'll let us know when it's safe to cut off the stream there. Oh, Manuel says tennis. Tennis is his thing. Yes. By the way, guys. If you're watching this, share it with other folks. You tag them. Let them know how much you enjoyed the show, and we'll just keep building this thing from week to week and month to month. So thanks for commenting. If you haven't commented, comment. If you haven't reacted, and of course tag other folks.